business lunch on. And then from 2 to 4, we will have the finals of case competition, Siddhi. All right, so we request all of you to mute your phones and close your laptops while the panel discussion is on. Our guests have arrived and we'll be starting in a couple of minutes, so request all of you to mute your phones. Thank you. very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you. It is with great pleasure and immense excitement that we stand before you today to inaugurate the first edition of Perennial, the annual HR Summit organized by Indian Institute of Management, Kashipur. This momentous event marks the beginning of a new chapter in our ongoing efforts towards bridging the gap between academia and industry. IIM Kashipur, known for its academic rigor, innovative approach, and commitment to nurturing future leaders, has always been at the forefront of addressing the evolving challenges and opportunities in the business world. Our previous engagements with industry include Samanvaya, the annual HR conclave hosted at IIM Kashipur campus, and Tejas, our leadership talk series hosted online and offline. Today, we gather here to discuss and deliberate on the future of human resources, the heart of every organization.
The theme of Perennial this year is Future Ready HR, Nurturing Talent for Tomorrow's Success, and the topic is Cultivating a Culture of Continuous Learning, Empowering Employees for Career Growth. This theme and topic reflects how HR's role is crucial in fostering continuous learning in today's fast-paced industry. Over the next few hours, we will have the privilege of hearing from distinguished speakers, industry experts, and thought leaders who will share their insights, experiences, and visions for upskilling employees to meet future demands, from mentorship programs to digital learning platforms. Our agenda is packed with engaging panel discussions, interactive Q&A sessions, business luncheon, and networking opportunities that will provide a platform for learning, collaboration, and innovation. Post the panel discussion, we will have the final round of our national level case competition Siddhi, organized by the HR Club of IIM Kashipur, followed by the felicitation ceremony of the winners.
Now, we would like to introduce our distinguished panel members. First, we welcome Ms. Monalisha ma'am, Associate Director, Human Resources at Flipkart, who is a distinguished HR leader known for our strategic expertise. With a track record of driving organizational success through innovative practices such as organization design, talent management, business partnership, mergers and acquisitions, diversity and inclusion, she brings valuable insights to our discussion today. Before joining Flipkart, Monalisha ma'am held HR partnering, HR COE, and consulting roles at Dr. Reddy's, Cipla, and Mercer, respectively. She is an alumna of Xavier Institute of Management, where she completed her PGDM in HRM. She is recognized for her excellence and was named in the People Matters Are You in the List winner 2020 and participated in the HUL Premier League 3 Emerging Leaders. We welcome you, ma'am. We now request Professor Utkarsh sir, Chair of Placements, to present her with a welcome gift.
We have Ms. Aparna C, CHRO at Torry Harris, who has over 23 years of experience and is an accomplished HR leader and human capital strategist, specializing in transformation, culture, and operation. She excels in enhancing organization effectiveness and delivering business-aligned results across various industries, including technology, supply chain management, research and development, and IT services for companies from startups to mature phases. She has worked extensively on strategic partnership with business leaders, providing insights throughout the business life cycle. Her strength lies in building strong relationships with CXOs and employees at all levels, fostering a positive work environment, promoting employee morale, and implementing best practices. We welcome you, ma'am. We now request Mr. Atul sir, Senior Administrative Officer, to please present ma'am with a welcome gift.
Next, we have Mr. Rakesh sir, DGM People and Culture at Porter, who's a human resource leader with over 16 years of experience in driving organizational growth and aligning people and business goals. As the head of the People Business Partner practice at Porter, he excels in strategic HR management. Previously, he held a leadership role at OU, where he had led major talent management and development programs, contributing significantly to organizational success. He holds Executive Diploma in Human Resource Management from XLRI, enhancing its expertise in HR strategy and leadership. He's passionate about simplifying challenges and empowering individuals, making a significant impact through his people-centric approach and strategic mindset. His diverse experience and commitment to unlocking human potential makes him a valuable asset in the HR leadership. Sir, we welcome you. We now request Professor Venkatraganan, Sir, Associate Dean of Administration, to present him with a welcome gift.
We also have with us Ms. Amrita M., HRBP at HP, who has over 10 years of experience in strategic HR business partnering with a proven track record in employee relations, talent management, early career development, and organizational development. In her previous role at Coca-Cola, she successfully led initiatives to enhance employee engagement and optimize HR processes, significantly improving workplace culture and productivity. She holds an MBA in Human Resource from Manipal University. Outside of her professional achievements, she is a proficient classic dancer who enjoys literature, traveling to new destinations, and honing her baking skills. We welcome you, ma'am. We now request Mr. Gaurav Saxena, Placement Manager, to present ma'am with a welcome gift.
Next, we have Mr. Sharad Prakash, Sir, who's our guest moderator for the event. He's currently working with Takeda Pharmaceuticals as a Senior Project Manager, Supply Chain, focused in SAP ERP platforms. He has 10 plus years of experience in IT and supply chain management. He has experience in designing and implementing end-to-end projects in supply chain consulting, network optimization, last mile delivery optimization, etc. He has worked with industries like automotive, engineering, FMCG, metal, pharmaceuticals, and manufacturing industries. In his tenure, he's worked with organizations like KPMG, ZS Associates, and Infosys, leading multiple projects in supply chain and optimization within these organizations. We welcome you, sir. We request Mr. Professor Utkarsh, sir, Chair of Placements, to present the welcome gift.
We also have our guest of honor, Dr. Sachin Garg, Chief of Information Officer at Talentola. He's a seasoned technology leader with over 25 years of diverse experience in academia and industry. He holds a PhD in public policy from the Shar School of Policy and Government at George Mason University, USA, and a master's degree in computer science. His career began at the Center of Development of Advanced Computing, followed by leadership roles in various multinational companies. He also served as an assistant professor in the Indian School of Business. Dr. Garg is a passionate technologist with a deep interest in the societal impacts of technology and innovation. As one of the early adopters of Linux in India, he is an open source evangelist, having explored the ecosystem's legal, public policy, and social dimensions. Currently, as CIO at Talentola, a recruitment consulting startup, he shapes the company's technology strategy. As CTO of Navankurit, he assists MSMEs in developing their technology infrastructure. Additionally, he also consults independently for organizations like the World Bank on public policy and technology matters. We request Venkat sir to please come and felicitate sir. Dr. Sachin Garg would also be judging the HR competition that is organized, namely Siddhi.
Next, we would like to introduce our in-house members. First is Professor Utkarsh, is the chairperson of Placements and Corporate Relations and associate professor in marketing. He has over 8 years of teaching and research experience in the field of marketing management. He received MBA and PhD from the University of Lucknow.
We have Mr. Professor Venkat Raghavan as the Associate Dean of Administration and Associate Professor in Information Technology and Systems. He holds a PhD in Information Systems from the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. He researches around the themes of business value of IT, emerging information technologies, and machine learning.
Next, we have Mr. Atul Srivastava, sir, who is the Senior Administrative Officer for Placements. He's also looking after all the flagship programs of IIM Kashipur and currently the Secretary to the Board of Governors of the Institute. Next, we have Mr. Gaurav Saxena, sir, who is the Placement Manager looking after corporate relations and placements at IIM Kashipur.
We also have Mr. Kashif Hasnayan, the Public Relations Officer at Indian Institute of Management, Kashipur. He has a decade-long experience in the national media and public relations industry. He is a Constitution Fellow of the Azim Premji Foundation and a member of Press Club of India, Delhi, the apex body of the Journalist Association in India. Furthermore, I would also like to introduce you to my fellow placement coordinators, Arshjot Singh, Anish Shukla, and Kavya Vijaykanan, along with myself. Further, I would request Utkarsh sir to please address the gathering before we move forward.
So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Perennial 2024. My job is basically to welcome the esteemed guest and leave the dais for them so that they can discuss on the theme which you have already seen on the screen, which is about the future workforce. So first, before I talk about the theme a little bit and the role that we are playing in contributing to this theme, I would like to thank the esteemed guest for joining us. This is a panel with more than 60 years of combined experience who want to delve into the issues that upcoming employees, existing employees are facing, and what will be the future of workforce, because probably this is the one thing which is very, very crucial, and how we'll be managing talent. This is going to be a major challenge, and we are already witnessing this challenge through the cycle and how it is happening. Now, first, that's a warm welcome to all the students and guests and our MBA participants, executive MBA participants who have joined us. Welcome from our side. Now, before I talk about the theme, let me also briefly introduce IIM Kashipur. IIM Kashipur is a 13-year-old institute growing leap and bounds into different streams. We have an MBA program, we have a MBA analytics program, we are doing executive MBA program, and we also have executive MBA analytics program along with doctoral programs. So these are some very, very crucial steps that we have taken in the field of developing employees for the future generation. As a corporate and placement relations department, we have always strived to connect with the human resource existing in this country. We do Samanvay, which is also one of the flagship event, which is generally held at the campus. And this is our first leap into doing or reaching out to the industry in different cities. And I again thank the panel members for helping us in achieving this goal and being here to share their valuable experience. Now, coming to the theme, I think, as I have said, there is a highly talented and experienced panel which will talk about the theme. But I would just like to share that as an educational institute and as a faculty, all of us are basically kind of HR managers, right? So the day a student enters into the college, we have to manage how they will survive those 2 years, what they will learn, how they will grow. And the interesting part is that we are not only thinking about their 2-year journey, rather we are thinking about their lifetime journey and how they will survive in this world. So the classroom provides them a safe environment to experiment, to understand, to question, to learn. And that's where our job ends after 2 years. And then they go out into the industry. During these 2 years, we strive, we take a lot of effort to connect them with the industry. And this is where the corporate relations and placement department comes into picture, and such type of events help us in learning from the industry. So by this, I will close my remark and welcome all of you to this Perennial 2024 event, and a warm welcome from the IIM Kashipur family. Thanks a lot. I hope you will have a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our distinguished guests bring a wealth of experience, knowledge, and a passion for driving positive change in the world of HR. They are visionaries who have made significant contributions to shaping the future of human resources, and we are incredibly fortunate to have them with us today. As we embark on this journey together, let us remember that the strength of any summit lies not just in the knowledge shared from the stage, but also in the conversations sparked among attendees. We encourage you all to actively participate, ask questions, and connect with your peers and guests. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn from each other and build a stronger and more resilient professional community. In conclusion, IIM Kashipur would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to the organizing committee, our esteemed speakers, sponsors, and all the participants who have made this event possible. Your dedication and enthusiasm has made Perennial a reality. So without further ado, let us join hands in extending a heartfelt welcome to our guests. Their presence today reflects their commitment to advancing the field of HR, and we are grateful for the opportunity to learn from their insights. Thank you very much. The stage is now open, sir.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning. So first, yeah,
I think people have not had breakfast or they're all too tense.
I think
Come on, guys.
they are very much tense because of the competition, right?
I think a little more louder, please. I think our voices collectively
Yeah, yeah.
is more louder.
I appreciate the yes, ma'am, yes coming from here.
Good morning. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for attending the event. So I would like to start my speech with the quote from like Richard Branson: "Take care of your employees; they will take care of your organization." So I think based on that, like I have a couple of facts. After that, I will start with the questionnaires. So, like according to Gallup, 20% of the employees feel engaged because of the learning at work, and they increased 11% more productivity in the work. And as per recent research from LinkedIn, around 90% of the organizations are concerned more about the employee retention, and like their retention strategy is one of the most important strategy across all the learning part and across all the organization strategy. So I would like to start my first question. So how has learning and development changed over the years in your organization? So I would like to ask my first question from Mr. Rakesh.
So, is everybody at the back able to hear me? All right, great, thank you. So, when we talk about learning and development, of course, you know, we come from an era where things would happen in a classroom. The HR would struggle to push people in the classroom and attend, right? And
Has it changed?
yeah, I'm about to come to that. so, uh, so yeah, I mean, from that era, which was say roughly about 5-6 years ago, pre-COVID, and COVID taught us to take everything online, do everything remotely. Uh, though you know, a certain cohort of the HR folk never believed in online learning, including me. I'm a strong opponent of that, but then everybody had to adapt. I think how it has helped us evolve or change our perception is the fact that it's actually come down with the users having a smaller attention span and uh, you know, a lesser capacity to consume, read. They want to watch more. I think we've gone from the olden ways of learning to a more content-rich learning. I mean, I remember there was a time when we used to work on PPTs extensively to create a program, but now it has become, can you do a video module? Can you do a micro learning 1-minute module? And the past 3 years, 4 years post-COVID have been about that how can we make it micro? How can we make it customized? I think customized is, the key word here. How can I make learning relevant for every individual in the organization? How can I make it on demand? How can I make it, offered as a basket of learning and they can pick and choose from that? Versus the mandatory learning that used to happen since forever. The organization would say, okay, a certain category of employees need to go through time management and personal effectiveness, so on and so forth. And now we've transcended into a different world altogether. So yeah, that's how it has changed for me.
Okay, so
Yeah, please,
can I
please go
add?
ahead.
Okay. The shift from classroom training to a virtual session, right, that has given more flexibility. So we could incorporate more e-modules, virtual webinars. So that helped us to increase the number of participants, but still follow-ups required. That's the human tendency, right? But what COVID has helped us in learning and development space is what we have started is Learning Fest, Learning Month. Of course, we did it in off-season because Coke being seasonal business, right? We did it in off-season. So where we started new ways of training. Maybe this is through skit-based learning, again virtual. So let's say you want to take a topic of unconscious biasness. So how you demonstrate a skit and give the learning through that. So COVID and virtual world has evolved. So learning and development concept has also changed. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Yeah, rightly said. So based on my experience, I will also share a couple of points. So I think in my previous experience with KPMG, like organization is sometimes forcefully asking employees to do some kind of GenAI training, and they want to increase some kind of GenAI penetration within the organization. So I think when I joined, the penetration of GenAI uses within the organization was around 50%, and I think they have increased the penetration to around 80% in 1.5 years. So that kind of forceful learning is currently happening across the organization, and specific to implementing new technology across the organization. Yeah, Aparna ma'am.
Absolutely. I think what I have seen, because across the different industries that I work, every industry is different. So you can't have one size fits all. From a pharma organization to a healthcare to an IT, there's a whole lot of difference. Today, IT world, at least in the current organization, I think it's based on what are the new technologies that you need to know to adapt, to use it, so that your client, end of the day, you deliver what your client needs. So I think that flexibility and on demand is far higher than the entire day. I know we used to have entire day training programs. No longer. If I can do 5 minutes, 1 hour, half a day, I'm good to go. But yes, I think that push comes to shove, that is still going on. That hasn't changed for us as HR. I think we just have to come back with different strategies to make sure every employee comes back and says, I want to learn more. Absolutely.
Cutting the line. So, yeah. No, so I'm going to talk about a recent experiment that we did to bring about more traction in terms of learners picking up modules. So, the old-fashioned way of you driving a particular module and coverage, and how many of you are a part of an organization or have been an intern in one at least in the room? All right. You guys have seen at least one learning management system, right? One training program, of course. So recently, what we did, and we found magnanimous results with that. We worked on the demand supply thing. We gave it a different perspective, and we thought that why not create more demand and reduce the supply? Why not make modules limited and assign limited seats in a cohort or a season or a month and see how it works out? So instead of running time management for everybody unanimously, we said limited seats, 100 first people. This is the module, first cup, only if you register. It is getting sold out in a day. I've got my coverage bumping up by 200, 250 a day. And I have to say, sorry, I don't have more seats available this month. Please come next month. And that's working. I mean, that's a decent use case. And last month we tried this because the L&D team was busy, bumping their head against the wall, saying that और लोग को कैसे करवाएं अब? We're tired of chasing people for coverage. We said, let's try this. Let's create this urgency or demand, and it worked. So just wanted to add that.
No, absolutely. I think I can agree with that because I've done this at Acnamed, my previous organization from this, and it really worked. And also limited courses, right? You don't give them the entire basket, just say 4, pick. Out of this, you can only pick 2. You can't pick all the 4. So pick what you want to do this month. So I think, yeah, completely agree that works. Over to you. Sorry,
No, that's good to have those ideas. I think I resonate to what you just shared, right? Creating that urgency around it. I will call it in my language, end of season sale, kind of, for L&D. I think fundamentally I completely agree, Aparna, what you said, right? It's very contextual with the organization that you belong to. I have a view that sometimes you cannot take away the mandatory part of the trainings because in some roles, maybe which are very compliance oriented, very safety oriented, you have to go through those trainings. But one fundamental thing that I've seen, a cultural shift that has changed in L&D is democratization of learning. And I'll just explain what does it mean. Typically right now the focus has moved from the facilitator, like you need to have very stylish facilitator who would have a lot of certifications, hold the big room, but right now the focus is the learner. And this democratization means that, I can choose my own programs. So employees now have L&D budgets and they can decide, hey, this is what I'm interested to work on and this is my development area. I would rather go for this certification. The other part also where democratization also plays in is where the learner is getting involved in the co-creation of the learning program. So earlier, I think L&D as a team used to be a center of excellence beyond the organization, not so integrated. But right now, we have so many people within the system developing it together. Plus, you have facilitators from people. So people managers are becoming facilitators. So it's really, and a move from the invite-only L&D session in a 5-star hotel to, let me define, tell me what all programs are there and let me choose it. I think that's the fundamental shift I've seen.
I just want to add, this is what comes off your head. So what I've also realized is I was reading this book called Metamorphosis by Akash Khurana. I don't know how many of you know Akash Khurana, but he's also an alumni of XLRI where I come from. So in that book, he's clearly defined how every person that you meet, you learn something. They become a mentor in various ways. So I would then go back and look at L&D that we have, you learn. Today, even your peer learning is far higher, right? With all the WhatsApp groups that we have today, I'm sure you ask a question, you get your answer, right? You can crowdsource what you have to learn. Trust me, and I've done it. Yeah, you go, Sharon. Sorry.
Yeah, you rightly said, Mishapan. I think
We have single mic today.
yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, you rightly said. I think currently, if you'll post any questions on Telegram, like you will get couple of answers, and you will have a lot of content on the reading material. So I think my next question is maybe if you can share your insight based on the evaluation of HR after in recent years, where like a lot of companies have asking employees to come to office for 5 days, specifically TCS and Cognizant, and I have a lot of companies like startup companies are made employee to work from home for all the time. So how this has changed over the years?
Okay. Interesting. I have come both from a healthcare, pharma, and now in the IT industry. So I've done 6 days in work during the COVID times. And then that continued till last September. During the COVID times, I was in office because one, if you're in the pharma sector and your last mile delivery is on you, is on your employees, there is no way you as HR can sit at home and say, I'll work from home. I'm sure you agree with me. With Porter, I'm sure it's the same. But yes, I think since if you're in the medical industry, you have that certificate with you saying you can go where you want. You know, that's the advantage. But then what I've realized is, now how long can you work from home? It brings in loneliness. And I think your Gallup study recently said that. I don't know how many of them even realize. I am happy to be at work. So at our current organization, while we were working from home, today we have said 3 days a week. Because there's a lot of things that happen when you're at work. I can't work from home. I personally can't. Right? But then there are other folks who say, no, sorry, I don't want to come to work. So I think somewhere it's a midway that you have to go. You have to see who comes to office and who can work from home. And it's all based on the need. You know, so that's where I come from. So, well, yes, some organizations have made it mandatory. I don't know how it's working for them. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to pass it on.
Sure. I mean, completely agree that, our offer to acceptance ratio is affected by work from home or work from office as a policy. We at Porter, we've been working from office for a year now, all 5 days a week. One, we chose that. So I think the work from home and office concept is really to do with the kind of work that you're getting delivered. When you talk about an organization like Porter, which is tech heavy, we are more on the aggregation side, so innovation, multiple teams working together, the collaboration piece is very important. Work from office actually is a key for us. We insisted on that. We got our own set of learning, resistance from employees coming back to office. Eventually it happened. Right now we are also endorsing something called as collaboration hours to make sure that people can collaborate better, because those flexi timings don't impact work getting delivered. But at the end of the day, I think what you made as a point, Aparna, is very valid. How long can you work from home? How long can you avoid people interaction? And I've read so many articles, and I've got live, cases of employees who were earlier working from home, and the kind of mental health suffering that it causes in a sustained period is something that people find it very difficult to recover from. Not only does it affect their work or longevity at the organization, but it also affects them personally. Also, the collaboration, the learning, everything bumps up when you go to an office space. Personally, my learning has been that, when you work from home, you don't have that opportunity to start and end work. The day starts and work doesn't stop. Evening happens, coffee happens, 6 o'clock is done, you're still thinking work. Dinner is happening, you're still thinking work. And when you actually pack your bag and go to office, and I think it's hard wiring for a lot of us who've done it over the years. When you actually go to office, you transition from that personal space to office space, break that line, enter office, finish everything, 6, 7, whatever time you close the laptop and say, okay, I have to go home, you park it in your head saying that I'll pick this up tomorrow. And in that transition, the travel from office to home, you're able to disconnect from work and get into the personal zone. When you let both overlap, I think that is what causes the mental stress or the health issues that that come along with it. So yeah, just
No, I could get a cue, like when you said, right, absolutely, when we are in the zone of working from home, we are there working from home, and it continues and continues. And you know what, just relating to the Zen way of living, and there's a book as well, right? And there was an instance where there was a student of Zen learning, and he came to the monk and said that I want to be, yeah. So please help me understand and reach the highest state of meditation. And then he just asked, did you have your porridge? He said that, yes, I had my porridge. So that he then go and wash your vessel, right? So he went back, and while washing that vessel, he felt that he was meditative. The reason was that he was in complete flow of washing that vessel. Just taking that cue, like I think it is also said that, as you said, right, disconnect yourself, go to office space, complete that work, and come back, right? Then you are having your holistic life. However, I also agree that it cannot be one size fit all, but it is like very persona based. If there is a young mother has to balance the child at home as well as be deliver and be there in the space, you have to give that leverage to her, yeah. While like someone like you, like you're saying, you love to go to work, like it should be open and it should be democratic in a way, and we should not just hardwire the rules. I think organizations should relook at that possibilities. Gen Z, again, a typical example where they want a lot of, lot of, I think, yeah, most of you. So that's way, like, I think it's not one size fit all approach.
I mean, all I want to say is yes, that's true. And also it depends on, at least in our organization, what we've done is the management team comes to office all the 5 days. The rest have a job. And what we've specifically done, in case of any medical emergencies, or if there is somebody that you need to take care of, be it the new mother, I mean, or your parents, we have let that flexibility come in. See, that's something that we have done. But, it again goes back saying, if I'm a doctor or if I'm a patient, will I like my doctor to see me online? Definitely not, no? Where is he going to touch my pulse or feel my pulse and tell me how am I? That won't happen. So again, it's all based on the positions that we have, and can we work from home or not? I think that's an organization call. None of us.
Thank you. So, just to add here, when you said it is like very functional, we are a FMCG industry, right? So we have factory over there, and we sit out of corporate office. So there is a difference. So factory people work 6 days in a week during COVID, post-COVID, and we sit at corporate office and we choose to work from home. So when we release the survey to all the employees, right, this is what came up. Yeah, we'll come back in hybrid model. So there is a justice, and it helps in networking as well, right? That was lacking during COVID era. So that's how we came back, and we go 3 days in a week, and we network, and rest of the 2 days we can choose.
This mic is working. So my next question is from Miss Monalisha, like how GenAI has changed resume screening, recruitment, learning and development in the organization in recent years.
Yeah, I think while I'm not so much into recruitment, I think would be great if someone who has an experience will add value. But I think definitely it makes teams productive for sure, right? And puts up a lot of, helps to make us recruitment team as a leaner organization, banking on a lot of tools and processes, so that you can actually value add where some of the processes could not be automated. Happy if any one of you could like to pick it up.
So when we talk about recruitment, it really improved our efficiency, our talent acquisition team, because they could use ATS and various tools, right? Instead, you go on Naukri, LinkedIn, search for the profiles, and it will auto-pick and give you the profiles. So it improved your turnaround time as well, and it has a cost, it has become a cost-effective as well.
Absolutely. All of that is fine, but still at senior leaders, you still have to do it the way you have to do it. Absolutely. And I think that's the charm of it. But generally for the other levels that we have across, with the kind of tools that we have, which kind of screens one, and I think with the assessments, right, the AI assessments that we can use is really phenomenal. We use a tool called Hire, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's so well done. I mean, it's fairly new product, and I think it's founded by an ex-Google guy. what I like about is if I need somebody, a detailed oriented person, he has a tool that will tell me how this person works on detail oriented. You know, I was impressed with the kind of tool that's come out. And we said, all right, let's do a pilot project before we can implement, right? And that way they have a lot of skill-based where it saves a lot of our technical rounds that happen. So with the tools, it's definitely made that whole lot of a difference.
And so just to add to that, I think with the introduction of AI tools and recruitment, I think the balance of scale has changed. Earlier, the recruiter used to work more. Now the candidates have to work more to get past, the ATS. I'm sure all of us sitting in the room agree and realize that no more can you just use a single resume and post it everywhere and expect calls for interviews. You have to go back, maybe GPT it, or maybe look at the keywords, customize your resume every time, submit it again to expect a go through. And everybody knows that now GPT is going to post it at several portals simultaneously with the customization also. So yeah, I think it's more work at the candidate side than the recruiter side. Um, uh, Personally, I would love to know more about that tool if it's able to give that kind of a thing without an assessment, with an assessment. Okay. So yeah, I mean that candidate work goes up again. I mean the poor guy has to go through an assessment every time he's giving.
How from an organization perspective, where because we have boot campers, because ours is a services based, so instead of my technical team, interviewing the candidates, I use this tool and my output is just better.
Sure, sure.
No, it's not.
No, it's a skill-based survey. It's a skill-based survey. So it's something so.
Assessment.
Yeah.
So it's really good, and I love that.
Oh, I'd love
Happy
to know more about that.
Absolutely, we'll
We've
share.
had our own share of ATS's hits and misses,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that, and I love the automation bit, especially for the talent hunt side, because at the click of a button, your calendars get scheduled. Queuing happens, interviewers get lined up. I think it's made a company's job much more easier. But what I still hesitate with at some points is just because a candidate is not able to get into the technicalities, good talent can get missed through such portals. So yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword as of now, but eventually people will get around that too.
I think it is also helping in uplifting the quality of the interview. In a sense, AI can actually analyze the way people managers are interviewing, create the benchmarks there, right? This is the best way of doing, or these are the ways that cultural aspects can come into picture, and then standardize the questions, right? So this is the way that they can actually guide interviewers and make it a better interview process for both interviewees as well as interviewers. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Just one, I just have one advice to give to because we have majority of the students here. While you mentioned, yes, we use ChatGPT to apply or how you would customize your resume for every job that you see on LinkedIn or wherever, just make sure you go through it, you read it, personalize it, just don't send it. Because I'm coming from an experience of where I've received as is from a ChatGPT, and I'm like, this is ChatGPT.
So much so that nowadays if you write an email, people say it's ChatGPT. मैं कहा पढ़ तो लो एक बार, लिखा है, सच में लिखा है. So yeah, just one bit to close this question with. I think the automation bit works for entry-level roles, maybe 1 to 2 years of experience, or maybe freshers. When we talk about niche skill set roles like a software development engineer, despite having assessments and AI tools being utilized, we've seen a lot of I'd say hurdles or obstacles when the actual interviews were happening, because when you talk about things like high-level design, low-level design for an engineer, giving them an actual use case and making them problem solve it on the call, because what also tends to happen is when you have an assessment online, it's very easy to hack it to get past the ATS, which a lot of people use. But for us, niche skill roles, we definitely index upon that. And we are very nitpicky as an organization about the talent we choose. We are aware that we will burn them out in the process to make sure that we get the right person. both culturally and skill-wise. So yeah, that's something that always comes about sooner or later.
So I would also like to add one point from my side. Like in KPMG, we have recently done a survey, and in that survey, like what we find, like out of top 10 users across KPMG in like globally, like there are more than 100 countries where KPMG is currently operating. So top 5 users are from like Gen Z person, like who have recently passed out from the college, who are currently using ChatGPT. I think they are very much efficient in using those kind of tools.
Yeah, and with that comes humanize.io kind of portals, which help you humanize it also.
Yeah, so my next question is from Mr. So I think a report from the Economic Times, like currently a lot of organizations are planning to start up their some kind of innovation center or delivery center based out of Bangalore. So recently, as per the numbers, around 7,000 plus, like 70,000 plus, they are planning to recruit it in another 6 months. So like, how do you see the culture shift, like based on the different global companies are coming to India, and how it will impact the like current talent pool and impact globally across the world?
Sure. I mean, I'm sure everybody in the panel and in the room agrees that India is the richest resource pool across the globe. So, easily understand the intent with which organizations are coming and setting up innovation centers or COEs overall. I think how it's going to transform, one, of course, we have more jobs being created, GDP goes up, etc., etc. The microeconomic factors change for us. Along with that, I think from a cultural standpoint, what it pans out to be is every company has a certain core culture, and when they operate in different geographies, there is a subculture that's created, which is an offshoot of the core culture. Uh, just to give you an example, and I would not name the company, but I am speaking from an actual experience of a friend who worked for an OTT platform, a very popular one. I would not name it. So yeah, I still didn't take names. Okay, so yeah, I mean, when that company came to India, they set up their first office or head office in Bombay for India, and there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Right. So and initially it started with the company's core culture out there, with expats coming and setting up the team here. So there was a certain cultural context that they brought in, and that sustained for some times. Uh, and as time went by, and the Indian leadership started getting recruited over a period of 2 years, 3 years, it started becoming or behaving like an Indian entity with those culture pillars. The place transformed. It became like an Indian company, right? And this is like real-time experience of a friend who was working there for a good 5-6 years, and he's like, I've seen that entire shift happen, right? So of course, the cultural bit, we will create an Indian entity out of it. Uh, Indians working there, Indians dominating it, and I think that's absolutely okay for subcultures to be formed, because that's how an org or an ecosystem develops. There could be a parent culture and there could be a subculture. When I talk about us as an organization, we have a core culture at the head office. And we realized this as we were expanding across geographies. The culture does tend to shift, and then you need to pull them back. According to the regions, absolutely. And then you need to bring them back. So I'm currently working on a program which brings back the core culture. So there are certain, the oneness, yeah, absolutely. So merger and acquisitions are a completely different ball game. I mean,
Mind blowing to even bring in that kind of oneness.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a never ending program, and it's like an ongoing stuff that we have to do. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
completely.
So yeah, that's my take.
I'll just add on in the meanwhile while you. I think I completely agree. India being at the hotspot of talent, and the significant shift that is happening with this statement of yours, right, is earlier India was always considered as a service center, right? Service delivery models, because we were very good in project management, we were low cost resources, and hence the need for it. Now we have to understand why a GCC now, that is Global Capability Center. organizations find global capability center as a nucleus to their strategic thinking. Like what the organization is going to do, they are developing the capabilities here. That's essentially, and the reason India is being considered, to me, I see as three reasons. A, the ease of doing business, which I think kudos to whichever government is coming in place, and I think we are doing really, really great there. The other piece is closeness to the market. India itself is always right now the number 3 among the top 3 market of anything that is being produced. So you're already close to the market. The third piece is supply of really, really good talent. So I think we are already a lot, progressed a lot on there, having the right kind of talent. But right now, I think to take it to the next level, and typically I think your question was, where do we invest now? So helping understand what is a GCC would help, what competency is needed in a GCC would really, really help us focus those areas. I think one definitely is a strategic thinking. Basically, break through the clutter is a very essential skill that would be required, because as you said, that example, right? It's like, referring to some culture sitting there, dealing with the ambiguity here. Someone or the leadership needs to be really, really smart enough. Maybe that translates to your understanding of data, your reading of the data, data storytelling, communication, they all come together, right? I think as an organization, if you, as a country, if you feel that that's a scope area, I think introduce those curriculum in, say, MBA schools a little bit more than they are currently. Not only just AI data, but also help with the softer aspect of dealing with data. I think those are the aspects that we should look at if we are looking at more of employability and continuity on employment as an organization.
I think she covered all the points. Only one thing. One thing to add here, since I'm coming from Coke, right, which is Atlanta-based, but focus is more on India. Being India is talent hub, right? So we are expanding in India. So this is what say about India, right? So we have more focus towards talent, technology here. So this is the decade for India, I would say.
Absolutely. I think what we should also do is, like you said, strategic thinking. I would say look at the organizations who have started, like Texas Instruments was the first one to come in as a GCC. Then came in Cisco and the others. But again, Cisco started as a research and development, an innovation center, right? So learn from organizations that have been successful and not anything else. And that's where you can make that difference. So I would say GCCs coming in, yes, but learn which are the organizations which have stood fast the different time scenarios that we have gone through. Having worked with one of them, I would say, yeah, I think there's something. I was with Cisco, so that's where when I joined them, we were what, 500, and by the time I could move out, 8,000. So yeah, 4 years. But then I think what we also have today in India is we bring in a lot of empathy, which I don't know about the other countries. I don't want to say, but we are high on it. That's because of our culture. Yes, that's because of the culture that we come from, the different cultures that we all come from. That stands out, nothing else, along with the others. That's mine.
Thank you, everyone. So my next question is from Ms. Amrita. Like as you have worked in Coca-Cola, so I think there is a lot of mentorship program or buddy program across the organization. So how this buddy program or mentorship is helping the organization in continuous learning and development? And secondly, like how it is helping for the someone who is newly joining to the organization and someone who has already completed 4 or 5 years and they are looking forward to complete some more 5-10 years in the organization. So how it is helping someone in continuous learning?
I would say mentorship program, it is must for every organization, right? So it especially helps, as you said, who is entering into the organization, who is new. I would say mentorship program, we need to look at it in 3 ways. One, we have traditional mentorship, right? Where your experienced employee will mentor the juniors. And the second one is reverse mentoring. So these days, reverse mentoring helping experienced associates in terms of AI, technology, because Gen Z and millennials are the future, and you all come up with the technology, and you are the technology experts, right? So that's where even organization or experienced employees can learn from. And the third one is speed mentorship, right? So if you need any particular skill set, or if you're stuck somewhere, so there are associates who are good at it, so you can do that speed mentorship program as well. And as you all know, mentorship is very helpful in terms of your career growth, so leader would know where you can pitch in, and he can support you well. So it's better to have mentorship program.
What I would say is, irrespective with which organization you are, you need to have a mentor inside and outside. Get that support. Only then, there's so much it makes a difference. I strongly advocate for that.
Just a bit to add, I think, yes, mentors, are important, buddies are important. But in my experience, what I've seen is once somebody is assigned, and these mentors and buddies have their own priorities at work and they have to firefight. But what I see lacking from mentees or the new joiners is they don't uh, they they don't haunt them enough, for lack of a better word, to get that persistence, saying that I need your support, I need to get this done. I think a lot of us feel a little hesitant in saying that, oh, how many times should I trouble this mentor or a buddy and ask for support? But what you don't realize, and I give this anecdote a lot, if in a family of, let's say, 10 children and 2 parents, who gets the most attention? People, people say the youngest one. I said, no, the one who cries the most. Right? So, yeah. So, one who cries the most. So, you have to be that demanding to learn. It's your opportunity. The organization has assigned you a mentor or a buddy. Make the best of it. Don't just let it pass. I've seen a lot of people lose out on that piece only because of that hesitation. And I think I think the Gen Zs are not that hesitant about it. Millennials were.
I think even us, we were quite hesitant. I know I was, but a long time.
No, but then what I appreciate about Gen Zs is the fact that they express themselves very well. They're very vocal, and they're demanding.
Their thought process is so clear what they want.
Absolutely, and that clarity is something that I really appreciate.
No? All right. Over to you.
So my next question is from Mr. Rakesh. So I just wanted to ask, like in manufacturing and supply chain, we have a concept like just in time, where organization keep their inventory very close to their manufacturing plant, so that they have a very less cost in producing and they have very less inventory setup costs. So I think in the similar concept, we have just in learning concept, which is currently arriving across the organization. So can you please highlight a couple of points like how it is currently helping?
Thank you. So, from a learning perspective, I think, it was already covered, saying that, the democratization part of it, the customization part of it, that itself is very crucial in terms of just-in-time learning, or GIL, as you would like to call it. I'm going Gen Z a little, by the way, with the abbreviations. That's my way of fitting in. So, yeah, I mean, when you talk about that, like I said, that we've started going micro. We've started making it on demand. There is not a mandate from the organization. Of course, the compliance part is very important, that you have to drive separately. But then when you talk about soft skills, learning in general, it is very niche, demand-based. We've also gone ahead and introduced a learning and development policy on the lines of, if you want to do a course and that aligns with your functional development and your manager aligns with it, we are happy to endorse a certain fee, a cost, with no clawback, which typically organizations do, because as an org, we believe in the philosophy of saying that we should invest in people. It should not be at the cost of them staying only with us. We have a host of Porterites who've gone out in the market and done their own startups. They come back and share their learnings. We have various alum engagement initiatives that go about. So, yeah, I mean, I always recall, Three Idiots, the movie, in that sense. learning चारों तरफ बट रहा है, जाके बैठ जाओ बस, you can get it from everywhere. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And from a queuing perspective, I think there are a lot of companies now who've broken down modules into bite-sized learning pieces, video, static, dynamic, interactive. There are apps that give you nudges on learning. I think 6 years ago I had seen an app that was actually working on a individual coaching model based on AI and ML. So I mean, tech is going that way. So all you need to do is you need to create a Netflix of learning, so that at different points based on your last learning, it gives you a nudge, right? And with that nudge, you can pick up the module and you can do it in 2 minutes. And I think, yeah, the interactive bit, the gamification bit is already something that is being over-indexed upon. So that's organically happening based on the consumer.
And I think that's where even if you look at it, the number of courses that have come out with the different universities, right? It's only making each one of us try and see what more can we also add to learn. So I think that's what I see a change from what we studied and what I see today. There is something or the other that is new every day. So it's all on us.
I think the awareness of people itself is so high right now. They know that if I do not learn, I'm becoming irrelevant, right? So all these productivity exercises, going the leaner way, etc. People know that I need to uplift my competencies, my skill sets. Otherwise, it's and also actually shifting that gear that it's you who have to work on. It's not that we. And ample of opportunities are already there, right? Not only organizations, but also the best of the colleges are there, right? Getting certified by Wharton, Cambridge, etc. Everything is there online. Just go, okay. But I think people are actually using it, even going and paying from their own pocket and getting trained because they know that it's for me. And if I'm not there, maybe I'm not there in the organization, right? So it's so hard and fast.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I see, right? Because I'm a part of, since I come from Excel, we also have a group of alumni, some 12, 13 of us have got together, and we have a program called Upsurge, which is primarily where we reach out to the corporates to see how we can help women get to the C-suite, right? Get your seat at the table. So that's what we do every year. So we have done 510, this is our 5th cohort this year in August. So we've done 4 cohorts so far, 510 women. So yeah, so it's changing, and how our program that we started in 2019 changed during COVID and what it is today. Today is a hybrid model, right? So yeah, that's what we do. So
Yeah.
that's both personal as well as, volunteering work that one does.
Thank you, Ms. Aparna. So I think on top of that, I would like to add a couple of points. Like in my experience, in my previous experience, like I have worked on a couple of supply chain projects, and after that, like I have been asked to work on implementing some kind of Gen AI across the organizations. That is a complete shift for me on working on some kind of supply chain where I have worked a couple of years and working with a different new stream. So I think like I have learned a lot of things from Gen AI tool, and that has helped me to implement the like Gen AI penetration across different data science team, across data technology team. I think that is very helpful for me. I think for similar way, I think that will be helpful for a lot of people who are working in one kind of industry, specifically in the consulting industry where the demand changes every day. Like for example, like consulting industry, the project is for shorter duration, maybe 2 or 3 months. So after 3 months, you will be asked to work on some other technology, some other things, even though you are in the same stream. So I think that happens everywhere. Thank you. I think my next question from Ms. Monalisha. So what are the biggest changing trends in the HR industry specific to like in another 1 decade or another 2 decades? Like what are the biggest change you see?
Okay, I think it's one of the very difficult questions because we are not fortune tellers anyways, right? And we can't say that.
We have something that is crystal ball, which will tell us, oh, this is how we.
Yeah, so biggest HR trend, right? Now, I think, gradually, because, assuming a decade in future, the Gen Z and Gen X would be the core of the organization, majority part of the organization. Understanding what needs they do have and what drives them, and tweaking your processes accordingly really will help any kind of an HR organization, and that might become a trendsetter, like a fast fashion sort of thing. Um, uh, what they are looking very differently at work is, seeing their life view and work view not very differently. But how can we make them merge and see the purpose in their work, so that they don't see it as a place where they go and just perform and then come back, right? It's a continuity of their journey. And I'll try to share something from a book that I recently read, which is called Design Your Life, by Bill Brunnett. They are the directors of Stanford Design School. What they have designed is basically your life is not just one piece, right? You cannot live only for work. You cannot live only for health. You can't live only for family. But largely it can be bucketed into, say, 4 pies. There could be work, there could be play, there could be love, and there could be health. So taking a step back, right, I'm just assuming, like, if we as HRs, right, if we could actually, for example, take the example of work. So work to an individual may not just necessarily mean the role that you are into, but everything that you could do as a professional. For example, right now you were sharing, right, your volunteering activity. The way that we are coming and sharing here, these are all part of our work, because we are HR professionals and we can add value much more beyond the role in the organization, right? So that adds to the purpose. So similarly, is the organization creating places for mentoring or sponsorship where I can go and enroll myself as a coach and a mentor? So, that's add purpose to my work, that helping a lot more people. So hence, I think using those lens. Similarly, take the example of play. Play in that book actually defines that something you do which you do not get competitive about. You just do for the sake of doing and get pleasure out of it, right? So are your organization creating spaces where you can be just yourself? You can enjoy something that you are being there, like book clubs, some sports club, etc. No competition, just be there and create some environment and culture for me that phase. Similarly, health we all know, right? Policies, etc. are going very employee centric, health centric, creating mental and health awareness across and fueling through benefits policies. I think if you do not go in that direction, you as an organization will definitely backtrack in the market, war for talent. And finally, I think love, I think in an organization setup mostly means empathy. So yeah, are my people inclusive enough to the different culture that I belong? Do my microcultures can exist within the organization? And do people know me, right? So all these things, if your organization takes care of, I think they themselves become trend. Otherwise, very difficult for me to create something trending, because 10 years something was there and now it's not there, and we don't know, like every 2-3 years is different. But if you have some framework in mind, right, with the changing times, you can actually, tweak it and taste it.
Absolutely. And I think if I look back, right, when I started to where HR is today, earlier we were more like policing. Oh, danda lekar maru che. That is what we would do. But today I think that's changed completely. You're asking how are you doing every day, and genuinely mean it, and not asking for the sake of asking. That's where I think HR is making that change. From a personnel management to a human being, I think that's where we're going. And I have seen it, and I think each one of us have transitioned over the years.
Just to add what you said, HR being personal managers, personal management, now we have become the enablers. So we are into business, so we are supporting business to elevate, right? So that's where we can see the trend of HR.
I think we've also learned to be more, we listen more to the business. Otherwise, I'm like, no, this is what you have to follow. The policy says it.
I think from a being future ready perspective of what the next decade or two has in store, I imagine that it'll be like a buffet for employees. You can't just pick and choose saying that this is our policy and this is how we drive it. I think it'll have to be giving employees the option to choose from different leave structures, different benefits, whether you want to go for health, whether you want to go for financial, etc., etc. Having a host of services, I'm looking, and to be honest, this is something that we have been working on, is to how do we create automation to reduce dependency on people in HR for getting individual answers. So we're looking at overlays of AIs on our HRMS that will start, pushing information on demand, and keep employees more aware. As long as you rightly said, that it is not just that they look at work as a workplace. They're looking at benefits. They're looking at a way of life for them, sense of belonging, sense of purpose. And I agree with the fact that communities are the way. We already have communities, multiple of them, people following football, people following books, art, music, Slack groups. In-house, we've got a flat and flatmates Slack group where people exchange. I'm leaving this apartment. Do you want this? There's a use goods sale kind of a Slack channel where people can join and put Craigslist, right? So those communities they form organically. You just have to enable them. People go cycling. People go for bike rides. They have their own interests. People get cricket. I mean, sports across. I mean, there are tournaments that happen we don't even come to know about as HR, and employees are doing it themselves. Absolutely.
What makes you feel alive at work, right? Go ahead.
So yeah, absolutely, and so much so that when we discovered that the cricket team has now grown so big and they practice every week and they go for corporate tournaments, we stepped in and we were like, let us sponsor your kids, and let us give you branded Porter T-shirts because you go and play for Porter. Go, play, have fun.
Just enabling that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And don't
Yeah.
just enter their space. Yeah.
Help them, support them.
Actually, like yesterday, I was watching this T20 World Cup, and yesterday I got to know there was one person who is playing from who works from Oracle, correct? So he is currently playing with USA like T20 team.
And the minute he finished his match, he actually went back and started working.
Correct.
So you have no choice. You need to do it. Right? But you're balancing. Look at that. He's also playing cricket, which is what he's passionate about, but also making sure work doesn't suffer. So I think that's his choice.
Yeah, that's right. So my next question is from Ms. Aparna. So how rewards?
So many.
Yeah. So I think this will be the last question for you. So how rewards and recognition is playing an important role in hybrid kind of work culture? And the second is like how, like earlier the learning was mostly from top to bottom down. Now the learning has changed from bottom to top. Like now employees are more aware about what are the things we have to learn, what are the different things we have to work in the project. So how does it change over the recent years?
I think the learning and development, I think we have spoken enough about it. So I don't see how are we going to change that, except I would still say at the leadership level, it's a little top-down approach. That still continues. That can't change. But then looking at the rewards and recognition, right, that's where I would say everything is not always money. I think at times what is worked, this is what I have done personally, especially during COVID times and stuff like that, or even currently where employees don't come. There are times where I have specifically taken out that 1 hour and just said, hey, let's just talk. Let's have coffee together. You bring your coffee on the virtual team and I bring my coffee, and we do not talk work. We talk about everything else. It could be anything. It could be a movie that we have seen. What did we like about the movie, right? It could be, and not just Hindi or English. We've also gone into regional languages, right? I know I've watched a couple of Malayalam movies. Not that I understand them, but I love them for various reasons, right? So you discuss that. So those are some ways of how you can change your rewards and recognition. This is what I personally believe. Now again, and what we've also done a little differently is people are working remote or hybrid. How can I recognize them on a virtual platform? So I've gone back and looked at LinkedIn, right? How can you recognize them for what work they do? Because you don't want them to feel, hey, no one's looking at the work that I'm doing because they're far away. Because typically, this is the mindset, right? हाँ, ऑफिस आ रही हूँ, आ रहा है, तो ठीक है, ये काम कर रहा है. घर में जो काम कर रहा है, वो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. So how do you change that, right? And that's not an easy mindset to change. Huh? A lot of us have gone over the years to change that. So some things like that would work, but then of course I'm going to let all of you also, because each one of us would have done something different. So, okay. There you go.
I agree. I think the biggest challenge that we have when you have some people working online, some people offline, I think the more visible person, gets the visibility, right? So that's the bias that gets built in. And how we can play as a role in rewards recognition to be typically is actually giving an eye if we are losing out our diversity. And here diversity doesn't mean only women, men, any kind of diversity. Look at the data, right? Look at the data of recognition. Are you covering all of them, or are you getting biased, or your managers are getting biased towards certain section of people, be it coming to office or working from home, or be it women versus men, or be it certain functions like, say, project management or sales where they have more limelight versus some functions which are working in the background, right? Are they getting support functions? Yes. Yes. I think having create that balance, that are you losing out your diversity on recognition, so that because our role should be creating an equitable platform. I think that's where we can add, and data really helps a lot there. Also, I think while you do it virtually, right? Also try to understand what kind of style people would like. Like, I would love to recognize this publicly, but someone else maybe loves it to be recognized one on one. So I think AI can really help from a perspective, understanding how this person is a person. Is it a more a meeting oriented person, large meetings, etc. Maybe that recognition style is largely in a large meeting, etc. So those leverage those tools and customize your recognition program accordingly.
Absolutely. I think what helped me was, one, when we have these conversations, right? You ask a certain, I mean, they don't know that you're actually asking to understand them better while you're not talking work, but trying to understand their mindset, right? And that's worked for me because that gives me my data. And I know who is looking at what kind of rewards and how do they want to be appreciated. So completely agree with that.
So for us, we are very deeply embedded in the core value system. So much so that values play or hold a 30% weightage in your performance reviews. They are tied to the entire R&R program. The citations of each value with evidence is something that we give a lot of weightage to, and there is always a panel to make sure there is no bias coming in or etc. And of course, I mean, it is always a combination of performance and value orientation or exhibition. So those are the key things that we use to tie in together, and driving the theme of celebration, because no amount of recognition is enough. You can always do more. So with that, I mean, we have our reward and recognition programs happening on a monthly basis, on a quarterly, and annual, and the ones that are like annual and big ones, they have a substantial monetary reward attached to it, and then families are called in so that the feeling of celebration, so much so that just to talk about the personalization bit or customization bit that we heavily index upon, is the last bout of promotees that we had in the organization. We've actually sent out a letter to their families stating that, we're proud of the work that they've done. Thank you for your support in doing that. And, that also adds to the recognition agenda. So, I mean, a small gesture, but goes a long way. So, yeah, that's how we try and, address the R&R agenda for us.
I mean, I think that also goes back to the performance management. What we have is the excellence goals that we call it, right? Some things are normal. You need to do that. That's your BAU. But what do you do extra? Where do you go that extra mile? I think I recently did an ARA for my own team. So it was amazing to see what they had done to, actually then recognizing them. I have in the ops team, trust me, employee files is not easy to maintain. But they did it. And just yesterday, one of my team members said, we will be coming to office this Saturday and Sunday because during COVID time, we didn't get the right documentation. Because each one of them, we didn't have a centralized process and stuff like that. They said, we're coming. I said, oh my God. They're just telling me, they're not even, I'm like, compensation approved. Your leave is approved. Even before they could ask for it, because I'm like, this is the least that you can do. And that was amazing, right? No one's asking them. See, that's where I see the ownership coming in. And that happens, again, from the values that you have. Are you proud of the work, the pride that you come with for the kind of work that you do? So, yes, completely agree on those lines.
Thank you very much, everyone. So my last question of the session is what are the most important thing companies are currently doing to retain top talent in the organization as well as bottom talent in the organization? Specifically, if someone is not performing well in the organization, if they will be pushed in the organization, they will feel some kind of sense of ownership in the organization. So what are the organizations currently doing for those things? And the second thing is what are the top skills would you suggest for the top performing person in the organization and the person who are below par or par who are performing in the organization? Maybe someone in the range of 5 to 10 years range, how it should be happen in the organization.
Now, this is a very, how do you retain top talent? Even if you do the best, they don't stay. I'm being very honest. I have seen the attrition trends just raising. Sheer compensation, that's fine. See, again, you have to understand that each one of their, they have a personal goal as well. So I completely buy that, right? I'm sure all of us have gone through that. It's only now that we have reached a certain level saying, हाँ, पैसा पूरा नहीं होता है, कुछ और भी कर सकते हैं. I think it comes over the years. It doesn't just come when we were young also. None of us did that. I also know I jumped because I wanted more money. So I'm being honest about it. So, but then if someone's not up to the mark, that's one of your questions, right? Did I get that right? Okay. I think I'm sure all of us agree that we have something called a performance improvement plan. And I am a sticker to it. Irrespective, no biases. We need to follow the process. Irrespective. But then get both the perspectives, right? Both from a manager and the employee. I have actually gone back and asked the employee saying, how did your manager help you? Have you been given enough tools and support to even do your job right? And trust me, the answers that I've got are very different. So that's where I go back and then have that conversation, not with the manager, but with his manager, saying, you can't be coming back and saying he's not performing. So he's not performing. So those are some things that we do in an organization, but I think that's where HR, all of us become the gatekeepers. We make sure the process is followed. And that's where the bias is, right? We should make sure there is no bias there. Some of us, it's not easy. I'm sure each one of us have fought our battles over the years. So anybody else wants to take a stab? You want to? You want to go? Go ahead.
Pehle aap. Train. Right. So, yeah, I completely agree that the accountability part is very important when it comes to people not meeting performance thresholds. I think it's a generic problem. People not calling it out at time, having enough evidence, creating biases, not giving proper feedback objectively, giving action areas. That's a generic problem. I can make it out from your expression. You've had the same amount of frustration and trouble on this than as everybody else.
Today I look at things. Come.
Yeah.
I know where the problem is.
Yeah. I mean, you always start by eliminating those and saying that, okay, has this been done right? Fair enough. Retaining top talent, I think it's not something that's entirely in your hand. You can do only so much and you can expect them to stay back. But we've had very interesting use cases where people have gone to larger organizations, very good brands, and come back. So because of the kind of people they get to work with, the kind of challenges they get to solve, or problem statements they get to work on, and the kind of liberty and trust that they're given as individuals, and that itself talks a lot about the organization. We openly admit that we're not the best paymasters, but we'll give you a culture that's worth. And to be honest, the priorities change. As you rightly said, initially people jump to make more money, and then eventually you realize the importance of people around you and who you're working with. And then you deprioritize money a little and say, I need this. I need daily peace, and I need... but then I think, like I said, Gen Zs have that clarified. They're okay with less money. but they want good people to work with. So that automatically solves for top talent retention. But of course, I mean, you've got sudden influx of, let's say analytics roles, and all of a sudden it's a deer in a headlight syndrome, saying that people are getting offers left, right, and center with 60% jumps. No organization can justify a 60% increase in a quarter or a half year.
They don't realize it's where you are, in a particular how many years of experience, and if your previous organization failed to understand.
Yeah, I mean, they'll only realize it when they've gone there and spent that tenure, and they realize that, oh, I am pretty much unemployable now. I have to drag it through here till I become employable again because I'm overpaid right now. But that's okay. I mean, that's something that you take it with a pinch of salt, and you always have your backup plans ready, hiring strategies, backfills, internal movements. And I think, regular inflow of new talent or young blood is important. It changes perspectives, it helps the organization evolve overall, because I think higher retention is a problem. Something is wrong, because then you might run out of fresh ideas, the diversity, the inclusivity that can be brought about, and the whole landscape can change as per that. Over to you.
Okay. I would like to share a story. And there was a boy. It's not a story actually. It's a reality. It's a fact. There was a very, very smart man, right? And obviously smart because he was in Yale, and very, very passionate about the work, that about the delivery, about the studying in Yale, etc. There was an exam coming up, and he actually stitched up and put up a lots of effort in bringing an economics, closing his economics paper, case study. He put up an idea which was about an one-night online delivery model. Okay, so the amount of research, etc., he did to put that paper, he was pretty sure that he was going to get an A, and that was Yale, but he got a C. The same person, right, with the same idea, opened up the largest delivery logistics company globally, FedEx. And the person was Frederick Smith. The reason I'm telling you the story is, it's not sometimes with the person, right? It's about the context. You might be a star, but if put in a very wrong role, completely the picture changes, right? And I think as an organization, as an HR, I think, like rightly you said, right, sometimes we have innate capacity or capability to understand, but how, as an organization, are we putting an effort so that we are creating enablement for people so that everyone is flourishing? Sometimes maybe because of the role, because of the manager, because of whatever context, you might be tagged as a non-performer, right? I think some of the organizations are also creating platforms like internal talent marketplaces, where you not only work on your own roles, but also you put up like, hey, these are my top 3 skills I know my strengths are. Are there any takers for me? And people managers can also put up projects in that platform. Hey, I need these projects. Anyone who's ready to work in my project, welcome. So you get a additional work, a stretch project for yourself, aligned to your strength. And maybe you are not shining in this role, but you really shine out there, right? So these are opportunities that organization can create to assess an individual, because it's also subjective, right?
Yeah, so adding to her, compensation is not only one criteria, right, to leave the organization. It's the kind of role what you're doing and where you're placed. So we as an organization, we also focus on the high potential talent. So what we do is we give them short-term assignment and send them to different country, or give them more visible projects. So we try to do that to retain high talent, high potential candidates.
Thank you everyone for the answer. So maybe I think before starting the Q&A session, I would like to ask like all of you, what are the top advices you would like to give to the youngsters who will be stepping out from their college life to the corporate life in upcoming years or upcoming months? So this question is open for everyone, like before starting Q&A question.
I would say let it come from there.
Okay, that will be great, yeah.
It's easier. Yeah. Please, the floor is yours. Feel free to ask us any questions. If we have an answer, we'll be more than happy to answer. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries present here, and thank you for your time on this weekend. It really means a lot. My name is Pranay Ramchandani, and I've had the opportunity of working in HCCB, the Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, as a summer internship trainee. And I'm glad to see ma'am here. Like, I have seen a couple of times in the office, and it's such a small world that I find her here again in this competition. Likewise, ma'am. So my question was to the panel, despite India being having people who are such empathetic people, why are like the stats not going that way? Like recently, 3 days back, there was a stats on Mint stating only 14% of Indian workers are thriving, rest are suffering or struggling. But this particular stat is 34% for globally. So this is by the Gallup Workplace Report, and I was wondering where is India going wrong compared to the global scenario?
So while you mentioned the Gallup study, you said 14% is only thriving. And what is the context of the study? What are the variables that they gauged? And what was this long period definition? Not clear. All right. No worries. No, I was just trying to get some data before I gave an answer. So honestly, I think it's very organization specific to look at the percentage. As an overall geography or in the subcontext of India, I think it's very important to note that what are the variables of this study? What were they gauged upon? Is it contextualized in the Indian subcontext, or is it the variables that globally exist and they've been run as a survey here? How many? So yeah, I mean, you can't really extrapolate that as a study here. I would say, and like we were discussing earlier, empathy is a strong point for us, but at the same time, empathy is a double-edged sword. Employees expect empathy towards themselves, but they don't have empathy towards the organization. That's something that that exists across the country. I can't say about the issue. Cannot be a one-way street. It has to be a two-way street. So that's important. And also, under the umbrella of empathy, what employees expect is they are treated right, and their problems are always accommodated and understood for, while business priorities and deliverable can wait. I think it has to be a balance. It cannot be lopsided or one-sided. That's something that has been my learning, because while being a people and culture or an HR person dealing with people, this is something that we generally come across, and several use cases to it, I'm sure. Right? And at the same time, you need to understand that when we talk about empathy as a value, we are a non-confrontational geography. We don't like confrontation. While we expect empathy, and if let's say you try to hold somebody accountable and you ask questions, empathy is gone all of a sudden. And that's not the case. You as a manager, you as an employee are meant to be held accountable for yourself and your team. If you don't ask questions, how do you have that clarity? How do you balance the perspective? I think these nuances are worth considering. Would love to go through that Gallup report later if you can share it. I'd be happy to connect with you one-on-one as well.
While, yes, I did read that, but I'm actually not a little, I mean, I don't know which organizations they've looked at, and, because India is such a diverse culture, right? And the kind of organizations we have. So I'm still not sure, I know they would have done some 100 companies, and that's how the survey would have come up. So I am still not sure I'm going to get there, but they could be true. I'm not saying no. So, but then it's very difficult to, even comment when I don't know, I've not participated in any such surveys for me to even look at it. So yes, there are. I'm not saying we don't have. I think one of the things that they said is loneliness. Normally I would say as you grow higher in your career, loneliness at the top is far more evident. But I think that's where I think you need to have a support system across, right? Across every level that you get, you have a support system, and then.
And at the same time, you also need to have the right understanding of those survey variables. It cannot just be a top line number that you can look and comment upon. There are various slices and dices. I would want to understand the demographics of the people who've responded, the age group, are the individual contributors, are the people managers, are the leaders, manager of people managers, various nuances. And like Aparna rightly said, if it is just 100 companies, should we extrapolate it to the entire audience? I think not. But yeah, subject to things, would be happy to discuss one-on-one. Please share the study with me as well.
And I think just add on, like variability is very important. I think which functions they belong to, and what does thriving mean actually? Thriving is such a subjective number, right? What does it mean, etc. If you can get those data, maybe we are happy to respond later on to address if that is required.
Absolutely. Any other, next, please. Do they have a mic? Yeah, they have. Why don't you come in the front? It's easier for us to see you as well. Come in the front, no, please.
Hello?
Come here in the front, please. And you can point your questions to whom.
So that works best. As well, to the TA thing that you mentioned, we also have to pause and rethink before AI what was happening, and why do you think it is not happening right now? Before AI, maybe we were not reaching out to 1 million CVs. We were reaching out to only reference or 4 or 5 people that would reach out and know that there is a job posting. But here you are creating equitable system so that everyone can apply. At least they are getting a chance. What you can work around is again the framework, right? Tweak around what are the metrics that I need to track from this profile. Am I getting my diversity funnel from here? Am I getting the right experience? Am I getting the cultural things coming up in the CV? So you can actually balance that, and rest of the process is anyways human, right? Those have not changed. They have additionally helped you either increase your reach or make you more productive by reducing your effort and moving you to more productive or maybe more thinking kind of pieces. That's
The only I would want to add is while we all use AI to find the right kind of people, but we shouldn't forget the candidate experience that they come in. That is still a human touch. That cannot be left to, it can't. I know for a fact that the current organization, one of the reasons was a fantastic, right? It took, I think the entire process took 4 weeks for us to close the position that I have reached today. But every week I had a call or somebody would reach out from the HR team to tell me, hey, this has gone well, but this is the person that you're going to meet with. They even sent me the LinkedIn profile of the person that I was going to meet. Now that makes a difference, which AI can't. So hence, it's a balance. That's where we as leaders have to ensure. We have the processes. We know what we have to do. That's where we bring in that change. And L&D, I think I completely agree. Having worked in an organization, my previous organization, my entire last mile logistics of delivering medicines was with us. My drivers who would go, trust me, they only wanted to have a cup of coffee with you, right? Ask them how their day was. I myself have done a field visit with them just to see what goes through. It just helps you understand them better, right? Those are some things that I value. And trust me, even today I get calls saying, how are you, ma'am? And that makes your day, nobody else has to ask you. So, those are some things that, again, each one of us bring in.
Yeah, just to add on L&D piece when you touched upon supply chain, right? So there comes the skill gap analysis, right? We do that. Depends on the need, we curate the training program. So for supply chain associates in a factory, let's say for operator, he need more training on the line, we say, right? Or the quality, shipping, maintenance. So we give training particular to his function. And going to corporate, so again, maybe he need influencing for results, more of collaboration. So it comes from the skill gap analysis or the L&D piece.
Absolutely. It could even understanding the system,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because your supply chain, right, and the person who's going to raise an invoice or even deliver the goods to make sure, they might need, a training program on how to use the system better in the right process so that they don't skip, because tomorrow when you have an audit, you've followed the entire methodology and even the steps, right? I think those are some things I know I have done. So I can only relate to that. Yeah. I hope we've answered your question. And thank you. That was wonderful.
First of all, I hope आपका दिन अच्छा जा रहा है. Greetings to the
आपके
panel.
साथ बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Greetings to the panel. My name is Pragya Mathur. I had a question specifically to Rakesh sir because it's a personal experience question. I came from airport and I booked a Ola. So he didn't, despite it was not that much of a temperature, but coming across the pieces of news, they say that because the company's specification is as such that we can't provide you AC at that rate because it's not beneficial for us. And you being in that system where you provide quasi self-employed people and you have created such a system that if anyone owes a vehicle, he can be self-employed and work well. But here there is a gap between communication between the industry and the people suffering. So what are your resolves to that?
Sure. Thank you, Pragya, for that question. So let me just try and build a picture first as to what we do and how we are slightly different from Ola for everybody's understanding. So I work with a company called Porter. We're essentially a logistics aggregator, not an operator. So like Ola and Uber, we similarly aggregate vehicles, but the only difference is that they are goods vehicles versus a cab passenger vehicle that an Ola does. Now when we talk about, let's say, an AC not being switched on, that depends on how much revenue they're able to make per kilometer. And if that is stipulated by a company or enforced and they cannot charge more and the fare systems are in place or controlled by Ola, then that's where the whole problem comes in. So an Ola or an Uber or us, we have something called as an SLA in place, which is essentially some guidelines, rules based on which they're supposed to operate, which may or may not be followed. And based on that, there are always penalties or incentives associated with it to drive conditioning of behavior, and you make sure that the customer experience remains intact. Now that's something that a company cannot control on the ground live, but post facto can be addressed. So tomorrow if you raise a complaint, there would be certain action taken against the driver, so on and so forth. When I talk about pricing and fares as an overall strategy or an approach, a company like ours or an Ola or an Uber, they constantly keep working towards it. So their underlying tech is maps, route, per kilometer cost, and the demand as well. Just because a driver, so drivers would say that I need 30 rupees per kilometer. But if I operate at 30 rupees per kilometer, will my demand still sustain? Will customers keep coming back to my app or not? That's a key concern. I can't drastically increase it and lose all my demand. So you have to understand that all these aggregator businesses essentially balance on supply and demand. Tomorrow, if there are too many cabs and too less passengers, these guys would leave the platform and directly start taking rides. Vice versa. If there are lesser cabs and customers come and don't get enough, you'll step out and take an auto, right? So you don't want to create that imbalance and let your partner or your customer go away. So there has to be a sensitive, so we keep reviewing our prices, the fares, what is a viable per kilometer cost. We have to be competing with the market. You cannot operate out of a certain realm or a guardrail. You can't just go ahead and fulfill every demand that a driver partner has. So those are some of the things that we try to reason with and try to scope it out. Of course, these are feedbacks that come and they go back to engineering and product teams, and we try to optimize the product. We review the fare pricing based on the city, based on the fuel, vehicle type, per kilometer cost, the goods being carried, so on and so forth, and keep it viable for both parties. So it's a fine balance I don't know if I was able to answer the question. All right, thank you.
I think we will take last one question because we're running out of time, and I think two of them have to leave. So,
Okay. Okay. So first of all, thank you for your valuable time and insights. My name is Lokesh, and I have worked with Flextronics with 2.5 years in supply chain management and operations. Like I have worked with the HP global team as well as from the warehouse team. Like I have seen the AI optimization and the penetration in supply chain is with lot of pace, and the people who are working are being laid off after they are optimizing the process and streamlining the process. And like I have seen the people with the interacting with them, like भाई हम तो बना ही लेंगे ये प्रोसेस ऑप्टिमाइज कर ही लेंगे बाद में क्या थोड़े दिन बाद एफटी कैलकुलेट करेंगे फिर निकाल देंगे. So this is discouraging the employees in the company to innovate and create. So what is the take on, what is your view on this? Yeah, anyone can take.
okay. So where you're coming from, maybe you're coming from an employee standpoint, but let me tell you from an organization standpoint, at times we have to do optimization for various reasons. I'm not justifying why that happens, right? But, well, I would only say it's a call at times that we have to take from our management, and it's not easy even for us to do it. Having said that, that's where we go back and tell the business saying, make sure you're looking at the right people even when you're optimizing. So HR has no role to play. I'm being very straightforward here, unless somebody else has a role to play.
Okay. Just to look at in another perspective, right? So there is an option for redeployment also. It is not every time that we sack the people, right? So when we do automation or any sort of things, right? We look at rationalization, the resources as well. So maybe in some cases this happens, and it is not only with HR, right? It's a management call, and we'll have to take some time. It's a hard.
The organization.
Yeah.
It's not just one department.
Exactly. It's
I
a
think,
hard task for us also.
I think the thing that you mentioned is also trying to bring the best out of people as well, right? Because when you are operating and doing same thing in a way versus actually bringing a lot of differentiation in doing in a better way. So you are becoming a better version of yourself. You are building a brand that, I could not only think and do the regular way of working, but this is how it can be more automated, it can be. And those things I think are also considered within the organization, you as a differentiated employee. Like this is the person who could, think in this direction, and I'm sure like such people get appreciated, recognized in certain ways as well. So there are both ways to see it, but if people start restricting themselves with a perceived understanding that this is going to happen, I think organization fails, and that cascades to employees as well, right? As if an organization is not growing and not progressing, anyways, your people will also stagnant.
Because we're all people built, no? We're not machine built. So we're still people, and people as an organization, and that's where, unfortunately, all of these are part and parcel of all our lives. I hope we've answered your question. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if we have a right answer for your question. I don't think there is. There isn't. So, thank you. One last question. One last question. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. My name is Akhilesh, and I work in a US bank. That is a large bank. I cannot name it because of in DNA. Okay, so my question is very simple. I have come across multiple scenarios where we have got a lot of profiles, and we have to screen it for higher position. Let's say we are going for 10 plus years of experience. How you screen the profile? I know you are using ChatGPT and tools and all those things, but as per your experience, how you and what are the key sets or things you look at to map the correct roles and all those things in a company? So let's say we have one positions, we have got 20 profiles, how you screen it, and which is the best suited, how you choose that one.
Okay, I think now that's, I think, a very valid question that you've asked us. So here is what the way I look at it, right? First, the years of experience, if that's mandatory. Again, we get the entire thing from the business. So you need to understand what is the business looking for. If the business is looking for a certain skill set, which only comes with a certain years of experience, then you'll only go with that. So that's the first level of screening. Then after that, trust me, even after screening, not that we're going to get the right person, right? It's only when you interview. And that's where you need to ask the right questions. So, I don't know, if anything else, that's a... This is like all of us also applying for jobs and we know where we go.
Sure. So this is how I would go about it. There is always an internal reference that you have saying that if you're, let's say, hiring at a manager, senior manager, associate director, GM, whatever level, you have a certain average years of experience. You don't want to disrupt that. You can't have people at 14 years of experience internally and bring in somebody who's 10 years. So you need to have that parity, one. Second, of course, is a skill match. You would want to look at the skill match, saying that, is the skill fitting my requirement? Is he or she bringing the right skill perspective in terms of, let's say, operations or tech, depending on the profile. Third would be the sector or the industry that they're coming from, because that, of course, becomes a filter criteria for you. You want certain experience to leverage on, certain industry exposure. You don't want to bring in somebody from FMCG and put them in logistics and vice versa, right?
So you were saying brand value matters. If he's coming from
not the brand, but the industry.
Industry, okay.
Brand, not so much. Of course, there is always an advantage if somebody comes in from a particular brand and you have a certain niche requirement that that brand will help serve faster, because your ramp-up time decreases, right? How much time will you take to prepare that resource to start delivering will be of quintessential importance, because speed is, today's world, speed is very important. So those things do matter. And of course, during the interviewing process, you'll identify the skill sets, match them, validate them, culture fitment, persona, personality, all of those things come in, and then you look at the whole thing as a package. But I would see those as my filter criteria and then taking them forward. So that's how I would personally, go through 3-4 stages of filtering and then going to interviews.
A quick thought that came into my mind is, I think Gartner recently published saying what are the future workforce trends that we see. So definitely somebody coming from a B school, the B school that gets branded will not be anymore the standard that we look at. While it's not going to be easy, but it's going to take some time. But I see Gartner saying that's definitely out. So, yeah, makes a difference. I think the brand and the college, all of that comes in place there.
Yeah, because
There's
I
no
have,
way to
sorry to
motivate
interrupt,
you,
yes.
no way to demotivate you, given that you are best of the brands. But I think already what you are branded with is a good thinking. A good thinking will take you a lot more than a good brand is what. Yes. And especially after certain years of experience, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah.
Maybe the initial years, yes, where you're coming from and all. But as you grow in your career, it's what you bring to the table. Definitely. The experience, what you bring, and empathy, definitely. Yeah, as you grow higher in the ladder. I hope we answered your question.
Yeah. So I got it, ma'am. So if we bring a value and experience more, and if we have a supportive with the brand as well, it will be more flavored. So,
again, I would say if you're applying for a job, make sure you list out all the projects that are relevant to the job description. List them out, practice. Trust me, that's what you're going to... because we would have done so much that we might not remember what we've done. If you ask me in the last 23, 24 years what all I've done, definitely I won't be able to recall. But if I sit to write, yes, I definitely will. So makes a difference there.
Yeah, one point from my side. Like after one point of time, I think self brand is more important than anything else. Like from company brand or college brand, I think building self brand is more important after one point of time. So this is my experience and based on different industries I have worked with.
Yeah, thank you. So that's all. Thank you for answering. It was a really good interaction. Yeah, thank you.
We are running out of time. We cannot conclude this event anywhere before knowing the insights of our keynote speaker, Mr. Garg. I request you, sir, please come over the stage and enlighten us about the entire discussion briefly.
First of all, a very warm thanks to all the panelists on behalf of IIM Kashipur. This was a very vibrant and lively discussion which actually touched upon almost all the gamuts of HR. We talked about learning and development issues. We talked about the democratization of learning, how self-learning is happening, how people are talked about short attention spans. I still remember when we had to do those courses mandated by HR, you first went to the test, then you answered the questions, and then you came back. Because, well, 90% of it you anyway knew. You didn't want to waste your time going through the module. So that's just a person. The other idea that came about community building, about Slack channels, I still remember when I was working at various organizations, there used to be, and believe me, that was real fun, the email lists that we used to have, where anybody could talk about everything under the sun, no offense meant to everybody. You had lively discussions. I remember I participated in a discussion about Northern California versus Southern California while being in Bangalore. I didn't know anything about it, but I was still okay. Yeah, this is interesting. I had my own definition of what a router is. Well, I wanted to always pronounce it like a router because I say I don't want my package to be routed out of the way. So it's just my personal things. And then the work from home versus hybrid model versus work from office. It's actually a very pertinent discussion because, as you mentioned, I have felt that the most serendipitous stuff that happens is when you meet people at a water cooler. When you go to the people, meet them, talk to them, and I've also found that being in the office, I've had the opportunity to go down to a fellow developer and tell him, hey, I need this done, please. So that amount of personal connect when he sees that you are coming in with a problem means that it means something to you, and that's what I also want people to do. If you are in doubt, don't please rely on emails and Slack channels. If you have a person's phone number and it is convenient, just call them up. Your problems will be solved when you do a face-to-face conversation. So, I mean, actually, that's what I believe in.
If I have to look at,
Yeah, sure.
If we had the same thing on Zoom, I'm sure we also wouldn't have enjoyed so much that we've actually spent 2 hours. We wouldn't have enjoyed it more. So,
Yes, and then the idea about function and role is important. You don't have the Indian Army doing work from home. You couldn't have. And this was exemplified actually in the vaccine wars where you had people who went into the laboratory to do stuff. You can't have porter drivers working from home. What will they drive? So it's interesting that we came out of all these various things and the rewards and recognition angle, the idea of diversity and culture. And I want to really think about this thing. India, as you mentioned, is very diverse cultures. When we talk about things, we talk about personalities like Japan having a different work culture where people slog all the time. I worked with a Japanese organization and my people used to crib that. They call us at 11 o'clock in the night to do code reviews. And primarily one of the reasons is the Japanese were actually paid overtime while the Indian people were not. No, so but then America has a different culture, the US, India. So I'm just trying to also understand that, as you mentioned, the idea of empathy versus that people. I think we have also forgotten a way that the Indian culture sort of works. We have seen a picture of those 1970s movies where it was like all about labor unions and things. But a lot of people, I've talked about somebody talking about Reliance, and they said Reliance has a very different culture. It is not the corporate culture that most MNCs have, but they also seem to have something like an empathy, but at a lower level. I don't know. It's just taking a name because that's one of those companies. But how do you people feel about a specifically Indian culture in the workplace, and how would it vary from between, let's say, Bangalore versus Dharwad, for example, same state, Mysore, for example, and just 200 kilometers away, and industry-wise. So I think that whole idea of cultures and all is complicated, seriously, and even in India, it becomes even more complicated. So it was a pleasure listening to all of you. It was a nice conversation, and thanks a lot for everyone. I think everybody got a lot of insights and would have enjoyed the conversation. And on behalf of IIM Kashipur, again, thank everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We extend our sincere gratitude to all the guests and our moderator for this enriching event. The theme Future Ready HR, Nurturing Talent for Tomorrow's Success, resonates deeply with the evolving landscape of the modern workspace. The discussions all around cultivating a culture of continuous learning, empowering employees for career growth, were both insightful and thought-provoking.
That was indeed a very interesting discussion. So probably Sachin sir shared his takeaways or probably summarized the event. I, on behalf of all the students, would like to highlight some key takeaways from our end. Aparna ma'am, you gave us the most important tip. Guys, read through your resumes before you post them so that you land your dream jobs. Further, she highlighted that we as Indian professionals are high on empathy, making us unique. Following suit, we must have mentors inside and outside our organizations to grow continuously. Rakesh sir shared a real-time example of the mystery OTT company, how subcultures are grown out of a parent culture for continuous growth and learning. He also spoke about the gaps in the mentor-mentee relationship and how we must be free of any hesitation to learn from our mentors with an interesting family anecdote. Thank you for that, sir. Monalisha ma'am gave us a clear-cut solution for handling culture shifts and the need for GCCs in India, especially due to ease of business, closeness to the market, and supply of really good talent. Thank you, ma'am. Amruta ma'am brought in the interesting concepts of reverse mentoring and speed mentorship and the role they play in career growth. She also highlighted potential ways to retain talent. At the end, we also had a very interesting discussion on the future trends of human resource, how a combination of work, play, and love, from policing to being humane, how a buffet of services will be the future of employees in the organizations. Also, we had a quick round of thoughts around virtual biases that exist and ways that we can avoid them and recognize employees. Sharad sir, you navigated the guests throughout the discussion to get the best insights out of them from their real-time experiences. You also shared us your personal experiences from KPMG and other organizations. And we are personally very proud as you are the alumni of IIM Kashipur as well. So now, thank you very much for all of this. And we would now like to quickly felicitate our guest speakers. We call upon Professor Utkarsh sir to present a token of gratitude to Ms. Aparna ma'am. Ma'am, that was a welcome gift. This is the token of gratitude.
I must say you summarized it very well.
Thank you, ma'am. So I think that shows the success of this event and how attentive, at least I was in the event. So
now, here is what I'm going to say. Can you please WhatsApp it to me? You can write it on LinkedIn. I don't have to think.
Next, we call upon Professor Venkatraghavan sir to present a token of gratitude to Miss Monalisha ma'am. Next, we would like to call upon Atul sir to present a token of gratitude to Miss Amrita ma'am. Next, we call upon Mr. Gaurav sir to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Rakesh sir. Next, we call upon Mr. Venkatesh sir to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Sharad sir. Next, we call upon Professor Utkarsh sir to present a token of gratitude to Sachin sir. On behalf of IIM Kashipur, we would like to thank all the panel members once again for sharing their invaluable insights from their personal experiences. Their inputs, I'm sure, would have inspired each one of us here and to a batch of 471 students and other participants who joined us online through the night. The opportunity to explore various skills and continuous learning, from developing personalized learning pathways to leveraging technology for skill development, and from creating inclusive learning environments to measuring the impact of learning initiatives is invaluable. We have heard from thought leaders and industry experts who have shared their insights and experiences, providing with us their perspectives on how to empower our workforce to sustain career growth. Once again, thank you for such a well-curated and impactful event. We look forward for future engagements that continue to foster learning and collaboration